All right, we are live.
All right.
All right, let's pull up my 3 lines of notes here.
I called the first line.
So I don't even know what to call the topic of this one. But
What's going on, guys?
Why men suck.
Oh, I forgot to say what's going on, guys.
Yeah.
I'm Curtis.
Yes, I'm Brat.
I'm Sim.
Nobody else is here.
It's just us three in this podcast.
Call it Why Men Suck. Like Why Men Suck and question mark exclamation point Guyscast number 1.
All right, Guyscast episode 37. Why men suck? Question mark apostrophe.
That way, when people are even googling men sucking whatever, it'll be Why Men Suck. That'll come up first.
I don't think that's how it works, Simran, but close. All right, back to the point at hand. Why do men suck, Kurt? It's something that's been going on in the industry. It's been something that I've had to deal with personally.
Segue.
At work, it's been...
You've had to deal with sucking at work?
Sucking men. With a question mark while I was confused.
And an exclamation point.
Yeah.
You forgot the exclamation point.
To prove my point. I have a problem with it. I really do. I think that, men have been fucking shit up for a long time, but I think that...
Well, okay, wait, let's...
Should we give some context?
Yeah.
No.
Actually,
I'm just saying men have been fucking shit up for a long time just in life, just in general, right? And now we're going to talk about the industry, the entertainment industry, the movie industry, in like video games, in any position of power, work, really, like just actually, you know what, men, just in general, have been fucking shit up.
All of the things that men do.
Just men in power
Why they suck.
have been pretty bad with their abuse of power, but there's a lot of men that are in power that are not shitty people, like Steven Spielberg, for example.
You don't know that, though.
I don't, but I'm just gonna, he made all my dreams come true when I was a child, so...
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's a good person. Like, I'm not saying he's not a good person, but it just doesn't mean he is a good person.
Simran is part of the whole, you're guilty till you're proven innocent.
No, we don't know what you are until you prove you are what you are. That's what I'm...
All right.
That's the camp I'm in.
That's...
There's no judgments either way until...
Yeah. Well, back to my point. There's a really big growing thing where it's like...
They call it the Weinstein Effect.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about today. That's the topic, if you guys couldn't tell by now.
With all the jokes, sorry about
the
that.
random shit that we're talking about, it's the Weinstein Effect.
And I think the reason we're talking about it now, besides everything that's going on in Hollywood, is specifically you want to talk about the Golden Globes and some of the things that happened at the Golden Globes.
Yes, one thing in
relation to the Weinstein Effect.
So Harvey Weinstein raped a bunch of people, and that started off a chain reaction of...
Specifically women. You think he raped a bunch of women?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And he could have emotionally tormented some men too, but yeah, like the main thing was he
really fucked up the lives of a lot of plants that he masturbated into. Never mind.
Yeah. Joke went right over my head.
Plants are people too.
And this is topical because of the Golden Globes
was just yesterday. But yeah, so Harvey Weinstein did fucking just unimaginable things to women, and he fucked, with them, and oh, do you want a part in this movie? Well, you gotta fucking suck my dick or some shit like that. And that happened for years and years and years, and people knew, and people didn't do anything. And then finally, a few women were courageous enough to come out and just say it like it was, and then all the women in the entertainment industry came out and started telling their stories about how so-and-so did this and another big producer did that, and it's created this fucking global phenomenon where all the people that you used to cherish and think were great, well, they're fucking assholes now.
Okay, well that's a super blanket way to put it. But yeah, no, so I mean, I'm sure this is prevalent in a lot of industries where there's heavy male dominance, and then beyond the point of abuse and I don't know what other words are there, but you know what I'm saying, where there's heavy male, it's like taking advantage of women and
using their power.
Well, it's taking advantage of your position and the position of power that you're in to either get what you want or make somebody up. You're doing harm essentially in the position that you're in. Whether mostly it's to others. It could be to yourself too, but in this instance,
in this case, it's usually what we're talking about is non-consensual sex and stuff like that. That's what it usually comes down to. But obviously, it manifests in a lot of different ways in any industry that this happens in, and I think that's it is important to bring this issue up. The reason why we're talking about it now, or it's in our minds right now, is the Golden Globe Awards. Like, Rat sent this video, because I didn't watch the Golden Globes, but I guess a lot of actresses took their time to talk, like when they were nominated or whatever, to like about this issue. And like one of the things that we were talking about is whether it's the time or place to bring it up. Personally, I think that I agree with in that isolated issue, or sorry, looking at that isolated moment of, okay, we're nominating people, we're giving out awards, this is an award show, that maybe this isn't the time or place, it's not the right context. It's kind of like I'm trying to like watch, I don't know, a comedy show, and then somebody just interrupts and says something that's kind of just ridiculous. Like, I had an example. What was my example? I had a good example of like, when you bring something up out of context, where it's like, that's not the time or place to do that. Oh, well, actually, no, recently when we were talking about the Logan Paul thing, it's like you have suicide, which is a very serious, like, intense issue that needs to be taken with not lightly at all. It's a very heavy, serious issue. And then there's Logan Paul's vlog, which is not serious, and it's like all clickbait and jokes and whatever, right? So those are two things that just don't mix very well. So it's kind of like that's similar in that like those two things shouldn't be put together. Like, that's not the time or place to be bringing up suicide in your daily super fun jokey vlog. So I mean, that's something that I think you guys were saying how. When Natalie Portman was announcing the nominees for Best Director.
Yeah, so there was Ron Howard and there was Natalie Portman, and they're both on stage and they're announcing the Best Director award. Right before Ron Howard finishes, right before the nominees are announced, Ron Howard goes and here are the best directors, and then Natalie Portman goes,
here are your all
male
nominees.
And like the whole, like, even Ron Howard like cringes and pulls back and laughs.
Well,
like,
you can hear the audible like in the
crowd, and then like every single director looks like he was like just
like
framed for murder. Like none of them are happy about it. Like it's like, you know, this is a great accomplishment. You know, this is a time where like you're supposed to be celebrated. Like, these are men that, you know, as far as anyone else knows, haven't done anything wrong. These are like, you know, Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg. These are just amazing artists, and you know, they spent years on their craft, and they fucking get to that moment where, like, you know, the people, the fans, the Academy, everyone is like, here is a nomination for your great piece of work, and then Natalie Portman's like, yeah, fucking, it's all dudes, and I'm like.
And I think Curtis, you talked about it a little bit. Like, she's trying to bring more attention to the system itself, and the fact that like there aren't any women directors right now that would be even put in this category, because they haven't been able to, like, people haven't given them the opportunity to be there almost. But at the same time, the 5 directors that are there, like you said, are fucking good directors.
They're the best
and
of the best.
You took away from their nomination, and you also kind of took away from the guy who won it, right? Like, that's kind of their moment, and you stole it and you use it as a platform to say what you want to say. That's where I kind of have issue with the way it was said. What was said is like,
that's the thing. Like,
the substance of it is right. It's just like there's a time and a place.
Exactly.
For it, and that's
I'm all
I don't
for.
think that's the time when you're trying to honor 5 people that did a great job in making great movies. Like,
like I absolutely have no problem with what was said by Natalie Portman. It's just, it's all about the timing of it. Like Oprah, like, fuck, if Natalie Portman wanted, like, she could have done the same thing that Oprah did and, like, you know, like, talk to the Academy or whatever.
I kind of do have issue with Oprah too, but I'll talk about
but I mean, like Oprah did her own thing, but didn't have to like fuck over anybody else's nomination or what. Like, she had her own 3 minutes. And she fucking, you know, she said what she had to say, and everyone was like in awe. People were like standing before the ovation. They were like, people were just like, wow, you know, she's a powerful message. And if Natalie Portman, like, I know some people might disagree with this and like be like, well, you know, this is the only time, like, you know, you have to do it because nobody else is listening. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but like, it's like shitting on someone else to make, like, you know.
Sorry.
I don't know. I'm like,
well, like, I'm sure Natalie Portman gets interviewed before she goes into the Golden Globes. I'm sure she gets interviewed after she goes into the Golden Globes, I'm sure she gets interviewed with every movie that she's in, that she's promoting that she is in. It's her thing. You can use every one of those platforms to say what you want to say. And I understand that the Golden Globes might be more watched than some of the things that she's in. I'm not saying that the stuff she's in is bad. I don't want anybody to think that. It's just that a lot of people are tuning in at that moment, right? So it's like, this is the time to do it. But I just don't believe, like, in that specific moment, you're taking away from 5 people who put in a lot of work to do what they did and are being honored for that work, and you're using it to say what you want to say.
So I have 2 things, right? So one is, yeah, I mean, like, I know what you guys are saying, and I agree with that. If you can agree with that if you do value this award show, right? If you guys really believe in, like, well, someone who makes a great movie should be recognized and rewarded. Everybody should take a moment and be like, yes, you made a great movie. Everybody stand up and clap because you made a great movie and you're a great director, right? I guess I personally don't put as much value on that, right? Because it's like, I mean, there's that, and then there's bigger issues, which goes back to what the second thing, which is your point, is when this is something that is watched, like this is something like, sure, she can put it on her little personal vlog or her little whatever, but I mean, I don't know, is that really going to make a difference, right? If this is a moment where everybody's paying attention, sure, it's kind of like when Bill Burr was talking about, like, you know, how something happens and whatever, and then in sports, they make you wear a ribbon or something like that, right? And Bill Burr's like, well, I'm just trying to watch sports. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't give a, like, I'm just trying to watch sports. But in my head, I'm like, I actually don't give a shit about sports. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's celebrating sports and film awards and all that stuff, which is fine, right? Like, you can have your hobbies and geeky, dorky, whatever, anything, right? But also there's serious issues that need to be addressed at some point. And if nobody addresses them at any point, you can't just be like, well, this isn't the time or place, because there's no time or place. There is no time or place because no one's ever addressed it. There's no... You can make a group, you can make your little group, which I'm not, like, I don't mean to, like, disrespect anybody that makes a group, but I would argue that those groups don't gain as much attention as these big things like sports and, like, a film awards show, right? So if there's no space to have a discussion about this, you kind of have to make one yourself and bring attention to it in that way, right? So, I mean, again, this goes back to me where I just don't, I value these serious issues. I just think they're more important than, like, I want to watch sports or this guy made a great movie, which isn't to say they didn't and whatever. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if, like, it's kind of the point of, like, which do you value more? At the same time, I do agree that there are times where it's kind of like, yeah, this is just out of context. Like, this isn't the right time and place, right? And I get that. I get that side too, right? It's just difficult when it's like, if I don't know how long or whatever, and I'm sure maybe it is an issue that, like, I mean, probably people think I'm like naive or whatever, but maybe this issue has been probably going on for a super long time, right? And, like, maybe it's at that boiling point where it's like, well, I just have to say something now. Like, maybe we have to sacrifice one awards show and say something, right? But I get it. I mean, it does. I totally get that too, right? Where it ruins, like, that director's, like, this was what he's been working for and whatever. Yeah. But I mean, to me, again, that goes back to me and my personal thing is, like, I don't ever want to work for awards. I don't give a shit. Like, if you award me or not, like, I would gladly accept it and be very thankful that you awarded me, and I would respect it and But I personally don't think that's how I should. Like, I'm not gonna make stuff for awards. I don't care.
I don't think you make stuff for awards. I think you make stuff and then it's
recognized.
Like if
that's fine. That's fine, I guess. But if there's a more serious issue than that, whatever. I know, and it's weird to compare, right? Like, they're totally different things, right? It's like making a movie and then, like, male dominance or whatever. It's like at the superficial level, they seem like very not related issues, kind of thing, right? Like, they seem like, well, there's, like, sports and then there's, like, suicide or whatever. They just seem like very unrelated things. But at the same time, like, as we talked about, you mentioned this earlier, is that in any industry and, like, whatever, like, there's always males and females, right? And this can be definitely an issue that comes up often, right? And I mean, if we're talking about this specifically in the movie industry and in Hollywood and Western culture, like, this would be the place, at least, to kind of bring it up, maybe, because this is where everybody's gathered and everybody's tuned in.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just...
I have another thing is that when Natalie Portman said what she said, another thing that, like, kind of, like, broke my heart was that it's like, what Exactly. Like a part of me was like, I get where she's coming from. I totally do. Like it's like, you know, fucking like the system itself doesn't allow for as many female directors to, you know, like, you know, go to, you know, get the opportunity.
Did she say that? Or well, I mean, that's what she. That's the point.
Yeah. Like, you know, there's not enough women. Yeah. But a part of me is like, what the fuck do you want? Do you want like us to just throw in female directors to just appease?
So there's that, right? There's the issue of having token whatevers. Like, well, we need a black guy, so we'll just have a black guy because it looks like equality, right? Yeah. But and to the point that you guys just mentioned is that you could be like, well, there's no female. This is the point that Brad's bringing up is that, well, there's no female directors that made any amazing movies that deserve the award of or be nominated as like best film of the year, right? So like, why would like we're not just gonna give a random female director like a nominee just because she's a female, right? But to the point of what Sim was saying is that it brings to light the system itself doesn't allow for a female to get the opportunity to even get good as a director in the first place. So like,
or not even get good. There might be a good female director out there, but she doesn't get the overlooked.
Yeah. Like she wouldn't get the funding, or people wouldn't support her.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm just gonna use random arbitrary numbers, but if she's like an 8 out of 10 director, they might pick the 6 out of 10 male director instead of the 8 out of 10 female director because she
wouldn't even get the chance to make her movie in the first place.
But she would have made your movie an 8 out of 10, but it's like, this guy's male, he's 6 out of 10, we're gonna go with it.
Yeah, and that is in itself a huge problem, and like the system itself is kind of fucked up. And so I get where Natalie Portman's coming from. It's like, it's fucking bullshit.
Well, it should just be Natalie Portman. This is just most people's.
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm saying I get where she's coming from what she said. Like,
yeah.
Like what she said. Like I get where it's coming from. It's like, yo, it's like the shit is rigged against us. You know, it's not fair to women like directors, right? And I totally get that. But at the same time, it's like I'm so torn. It's like a part of me is like, okay, well, like the 5 guys that directed those movies, there were 5 fucking amazing directors and 5 amazing movies. And it's like, I'm not like, are you supposed to just throw, like Kurt said, like, are you just supposed to throw a female on the list just to appease?
No, that's not how it should be.
And that's what I'm saying. Right? So it's like,
but the fix to this problem isn't like next year we're gonna have a woman in there. That's not the fix. The fix is like at a really fundamental, like almost grassroots level, and it's not gonna happen in like. It might not even happen in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. Like it's gonna take a long time for this like to go away. And the only thing I'm afraid of with everything that's happening in Hollywood specifically is that Hollywood likes to bring all these issues up for like a year, 2 years, and then it just goes like it casually just fades off, and we come back to exactly where we were. Like this is really important in terms of just not even like sexual equality, but like just like any type of equality in anywhere that you work. Like everybody looks to Hollywood for stuff, so this has to be a continuing issue for as long as it can be before it's fixed. It can't be something that's like kind of trails off and dies as soon as the like
I also think because we're talking about this before is that like, and again this goes back to what I was saying is how much do you value like an awards show and like having an award and recognizing someone who makes a great film, whereas Sim was mentioning Get Out, right? How they nominated the guy, what's his name?
Jordan Peele.
He won the award, and how they wrote him as a character that was a black male.
Oh no, you mean
I don't know.
The guy from This Is Us. I can't remember what his name is.
Okay, I don't know. I was thinking about Get Out though.
No, Get Out itself. It's a whole different, like, it's kind of the same.
But I feel like it was similar because they wrote him in as a black male in the movie.
Well, yeah, like the main character you mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Well, like that's like the way that I guess writers, the way that Hollywood casts parts essentially, because there's directing and then there's acting and then like there's different facets of Hollywood and they all kind of have the same issues in them. Mm-hmm. But like the way that Hollywood casts parts sometimes is. You have all your characters, you make Jim, Tom, and Andy. But then you don't want Jim, Tom, and Andy to be 3 white dudes, so you gotta make Andy black, right? Because just to make sure that everybody's kind of okay with everything, but that's the wrong reason to put a black person in a movie. That's the absolutely wrong reason to do it. The reason, what you should do is, you write 3 fleshed out parts, and like, you shouldn't write it because he is black, you should write a part about like you should have the black guy in mind. Oh, that sounds horrible. You should have your black actor in mind and like have that part in mind to be more fleshed out as an African American male or African Canadian male in society.
It's kind of like when I first watched Logan, it was really weird. Like, there's one scene where like Logan's just like where these guys are bugging him for his car. They're like trying to steal his car. Like I assume they're Spanish.
Mexicans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then that scene kind of hit me like, yeah, like as when you show that, you're saying something kind of very specific about a certain kind of culture, and you're portraying them in a certain way. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, like it's kind of like that. So when Sim's saying when you write a script, it's kind of just being conscious that there are different. It's kind of like what's the opposite of? It's kind of like the opposite that's happening right now. Most of the time is just that you, like Sim's saying, you just write a script and you don't notice it, but you realize these are very like Western, generally white characters.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not really, you're not even thinking about it really. And then like Sim says, to be fair, they just cast him as whatever. Right? So going back to what I was saying is about how much you value an awards show is that I think it was right to nominate, like, and have why Get Out had such good response and stuff like that, and This Is Us, and like these types of things are getting more attention. Maybe even if they're not as like good as a movie as a whole, maybe whatever, but they bring up a very important issue, right? So that if they get nominated or they get awarded or whatever, it brings to light a very important issue, and people will watch it in a way that like enlightens them in a way, and like hopefully makes them keep in mind, you know. So let's say someone else is writing a script enough for something else, then they'll write their character with that in mind, thinking of that nominated movie, that whatever, right? But again, that goes back to like what I said, like how much do you value an awards show, or what do you even think a good movie is, and like, do you know what I mean? So I don't know. What were you gonna say, Brett?
Oh, I was just gonna say I completely agree with your point, but I feel like that one example, like the movie's set in like New Mexico or whatever, and like.
Oh, you mean Logan?
Logan, yeah. So like they really had no choice with that, like when the group of guys are like bugging for his car.
Sure, but like I'm saying, knowing that though, like they didn't have to even set it there, and they didn't have to use. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like they didn't have to use Mexicans in that way and portray it. And it was just kind of, you know, because they come up and they're like, hey, I say it, and they like actually when you hear them talk, they actually sound like. And then Logan, and then they're like dicks trying to beat him up, and then Logan, your fucking white guy, comes and slices them up because they're just dicks, and I'm like, yeah, it's super cool and but also like that doesn't really look good on. Do you know what I mean? Like it just portrays them in that way, and then it just boxes them into that kind of portrayal, and like but this is an issue not just with Logan. Logan overall, I love the movie and blah blah blah, but in all movies, right? When you have certain portrayals of different characters, it's just you have to recognize what's happening kind of like that's a subconscious thing. For a lot of people, they didn't even notice it. They're just like, oh yeah, some fucking dicks trying to screw Logan up. But the fact that they were Mexican, quote unquote, whatever, and speaking Spanish a little bit and whatever, it does put something in people's heads subconsciously a little bit too, I'd say, right? And then when you notice things like, yeah, like, you know, like all those Mexican gangsters, whatever, you know what I mean? Like you kind of think about it that way, sort of. Right? You see it all the time with like your parents and like older generations, the way they see different cultures and stuff. They just kind of have an assumption about the way they are. And I would argue that those types of scenes just feed to that, and those are maybe the source of it in a lot of ways too.
There's also the opposite sometimes where people try their best not to be racist, but they end up being racist anyways. So like in Get Out is a great example. Like the family, when the dad is talking to the guy, his daughter's boyfriend, sorry. Like, and they're walking through, and he shows them the picture of the runner and stuff like that. He's like, oh yeah, I would have voted for Obama a third time. It's like, well, like he's trying really hard to make sure this colored person knows that like I'm totally okay with you being who you are.
I love black people.
And it's like you gotta stop. Like you gotta bring it. Like the best way to go about things is like do no harm unto others and whatever. Just stick to your own lane, kind of thing, whatever. But like he makes it at like a point to make sure that this person knows that he's totally okay with who you are, and what it's like, no, you don't need to do that. That's the point of the movie. Or like
get him to the Greek.
Yeah.
What's his whatever child? What was it? African child?
African child.
Get him to Greek was hilarious.
Fucking God. All this goddamn snow. Great character. But that's funny. Right?
It was funny, yeah.
That's supposed to be, but like this was like an actual commentary on how some white people are actually like this. They tried so hard to push the fact that they're not racist that they end up being more racist than racist people.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I never thought about that.
Because at the very least, the racist people are very upfront about who they are and they're being genuine. But these people aren't being genuine. They're trying to cover up.
But I think there's
or
that
they're trying too hard to be genuine,
and they just don't. They're not used to it. They don't know how to actually.
I feel like everyone's like sort of like inherently racist, like just like with what we see and stuff.
There is
like a really quick example is just like yesterday or the day before yesterday, the H&M ad with the kid in the green sweater.
I don't think I've seen it, but
so there's a kid in a green sweater. He's a black child, and on the sweater it says, "Coolest monkey in the jungle." And if that was like a white kid or a Spanish kid or whatever, like I don't think there would be any backlash. Like,
that's horrible.
It is.
Sorry, what was that? I wasn't listening. Sorry.
So H&M put up an ad, and it has like a black kid in a green sweater, and on the sweater it says the coolest monkey in the jungle.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's fucked up, and like The Weeknd cut all ties with it. He's like, I can't believe H&M did this. I'm cutting all ties, right? But it's like we as fucked up as it is, because it's 100% wrong, and like it's like if that was like a white kid or a Spanish kid or anybody else, like nobody would take any offense to it. Because if like it was a white kid with the coolest monkey in the jungle, it'd be, oh, it's so cute, like the coolest monkey.
No, but there's a reason why there's offense to it in this case, because it's like they were like African people in the past have been called monkeys in the past, and which is why they want like, or at least there's so much backlash for it, because like that's wrong. You shouldn't be calling. It's almost it was derogatory for them. Yeah. So putting it up there is like a reminder of how derogatory this can be. So like why even putting
it up? I totally get that, but so it's like but like we still make that like you know, everyone's trying to move forward with it, but like the more we hold on to that as well. Do you get what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Like if every time we look at like a black person, and if they're wearing something and it says like monkey or something to do with like dark or whatever, like Sony had that problem where they made an ad where the white girl was the white PS Vita and the black guy was the black PS Vita, but it wasn't like the race thing. It was like a beautiful picture of them like touching each other, and they're all covered in black paint and all white paint or whatever. But it's like as soon as you think about like dark and you think about black people, it's like bad because it's like darkness is bad. Or like it says coolest monkey in the gym, which is supposed to be like a cute little sweater that 100% work in all the scenarios except with a black kid, because in our heads we're like, oh, black people, they used to be slaves, they used to be called monkeys, and then we automatically it's like that.
But that's what I mean, like doing that is drawing attention to those things, whereas like it's drawing attention to our differences.
Well, it's just because it's really close to the line. Yeah, that's all, right? So that, and then that's what I was gonna bring up, is that it really comes down to like what you think racism is. Like, do you know what I mean? Because there are things that's like, yeah, like, I don't know, like certain cultures will do more things or other things that are just different from other cultures. And that's just a fact, right? It's like when you come from a certain place, it might be different from when you come from another place. That's just a fact, right? And I mean, Bill Burr talked about it in his whatever about like it being about hate. Because that racism is about hate, more so about differences, right? Because there's going to be differences, inevitably, right? Hate but I think also what we're talking about also like with the black thing and all that whatever is like in derogatory types of like whatever, speaking about a certain type of culture or skin color, whatever, in a derogatory sense.
Yeah, and then that ad is drawing attention to what that was.
So that one is just because that's been such a big issue that it's very like sensitive. So it's super close to the line, and a lot of people found it over the line, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's in that case, it's just kind of better to not even approach. But I understand where sometimes it gets out of hand. I think where like it's people take it too much offense too easily, like they're too sensitive, is what you're kind of saying, right? It's like when someone says anything at all, it's kind of like black people. Well, racist as soon as even anybody's categorizes.
Even the amount of times we said black people in this, people would be like, stop calling them black people.
Yeah,
and I've tried to cut that out, but at the same time, I'm almost like, why does that?
So that's the thing.
But I'm only trying to do that because you don't want.
And I also think a lot of people use it. Yeah, I think a lot of people actually are okay with us saying that too, and they don't take offense to that, and we don't. I don't know.
Because that's the thing, like, what a wonderful world it would be where like a black kid could wear a sweater that said "coolest monkey in the jungle," just like the white kid beside him and the fucking Spanish kid, and nobody ever batted an eye. Like, I mean that world is very impractical because of the world that we live in. But what a wonderful world it would be if like everyone could just fucking not look at it like, holy shit, he's wearing a thing that says monkey on it. He's sort of like looks like, and then he's like, they used to be called monkey. Oh my, it's racist. Like, you know, like nowadays it's even way worse than it was. But that's also because, you know, all this stuff has been brought to light. Like, you know, like people are trying to like get further and further with like civil like rights and you know all that stuff. Like that whole movement is great, and so a lot of people have been born out of that. Like the sensitivity has grown, but there's also a problem to that is that now you can't like people are scared to voice any kind of
opinion
in fear of being labeled a racist. Like even comedians, I swear, in all the hardest times, people look to comedians to find just that little bit of loud. But even comedians now are scared to fucking
I think the way you do it matters as a comedian. But in my own opinion, comedy is probably the one place that should be. You kind of have free reign up. Like the line for you as a comic is a lot farther than just.
But again, it does come down to execution.
Yeah,
it comes down to how you do it, because there's very useful ways that comedy can come and like bring light to things that don't make sense when you're, let's say, if you're offended, right? So like, it's kind of like if you say white kid, no one will really say anything, no one cares. But if you say black kid, people might take offense.
Yeah.
But in comedy, like you can bring to light those kind of like inconsistencies and be like, it's kind of like when Louis C.K. talks about, which is terrible to bring that up right now in this context of what we're talking, considering all the whatever. But
who's framed? He didn't.
No. But you know when you use certain words. And like, you know how he's like, oh, like, see, this sucks now because I shouldn't even mention his name, but like it's hard because it's one of his
like
bits.
After we're on this point, can we talk about like Louis C.K. and does that take away from?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I think that's really important.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but again, it's what do you value more? Anyway, we'll talk about it in a second. When he was saying, oh, you know that bit where he's talking about like words. Just like he likes to say faggot and he likes to say whatever, but he doesn't mean it in the derogatory sense that he's homophobic. He just, the word itself is just a fun word, right? Which obviously, I obviously understand that there's definitely a line, right? Because then it goes back to that what it's associated with.
Yeah.
Right? It's obviously most people will take that as a derogatory thing. That's just a fact. Right? But I do understand what you're saying is that like, wouldn't it be great if I could just say faggot and nobody would take offense? Wouldn't it be great if that was just a fun word? But I mean, the fact of it is that it's not. Like, people will take it negatively, and you have to keep that in mind, right? And that's why it's always, you know, it's interesting to look at like different friend groups that talk differently and stuff like that. But anyway, now on to what Simran wants to talk about.
Okay, so what Louis C.K. Did was horrible.
What did he do, Sim?
Of course, what he did was horrible.
Oh my god.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
You should be serious about that.
No, but like, so he was part of the Weinstein Effect. Do you know what Louis C.K. did?
I heard he like locked himself in a room and like jerked off.
Like this wasn't recent. I think it was in his like the early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, and it happened multiple times. He just a lot of sexual harassment things against some female comedians kind of going.
But he admitted it, right?
He didn't admit it. No, there were a lot of rumors swirling in a lot of Hollywood about doing that.
What you mean, you're talking about now or before? Before, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then finally, the women that he did do it to kind of stepped forward, like with all this stuff coming to light. And a lot of the stuff he did was pretty horrible. Like he tried to just like masturbate in front of him. And he would ask them permission to do it. Some of them would say no, and he'd still do it, kind of thing. And then I think there was one instance where he called one of the women and was like masturbating on the phone while he was talking to her and stuff.
Dave Chappelle brought this up in his new bit.
He did, yeah. And I saw it, and I it's like a lot of those. So what Dave Chappelle's point is going to come after this point, which is a lot of those women have said that because he did that and it ruined their life and ruined their careers and stuff like that. And Dave Chappelle's like, no, it didn't. Yeah. Like, your careers are probably not going to go anywhere. Like, what he did was horrible, but like...
You could have just cut the phone.
You could have just like, hung up. You could have walked out. I think in some instances he was like against the door. So they couldn't get out.
I think Dave Chappelle strictly talks about the one on the phone where it's like she said he ruined his life, and he's like, if he was ruining your life so bad, why don't you just hang up the phone?
Yeah.
But he probably got flack for that.
So like in that instance, Louis C.K. is a great comic. A lot of his material is about him masturbating and like sexual things and stuff like that. But does what he did take away from how good he is as a comic and like his art? Like, is it okay to separate those two things, or do you have to look at Louis C.K. as a whole person based on like his actions as well as what he does?
Depends on what you're talking about, though. right? You can look at his show and be like, that's a great show.
Yeah.
But in the real world, when you're dealing with a person, you have to be like, he's a person that did things.
Yeah.
Right? But obviously as a show, it's like you make like a movie. Same thing with
But
the
a lot
filming,
of people
right? It's
would,
like,
a lot of people would and are currently looking at his material and stuff like that, and they're just kind of saying that.
well, it's also
Like,
but
it all
it's,
is-
again, like goes back to the priorities thing, or like values. Is like, what do you value more? Is like, is it okay? Like, if a guy, and it depends on where you're talking about, but let's just say movies and comedy. Let's say he made a great movie or comedy that's just so amazing or whatever, but he has slaves. It's like, should he be able to have, you know what I mean? But again, it depends on what you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, if what he did was so great, but I mean, also it shouldn't be. It's hard because it's like it's almost like the Nazi thing, how we've learned so much medically out of the camps and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, should all of those people died also? Like, obviously not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we should have all these great movies, but also in real life, when he does certain things, it's just not good for a lot of people, like really bad for a lot of people. So it's like, what it almost, if it's one person, it comes down to that. Like, what are you choosing now?
Yeah,
Right.
like Bill Cosby made great TV, it was a great stand-up comedian, donated hundreds of millions of dollars, put so many children through college,
Yeah.
right, through his own pocket or whatever, raped raped a bunch of women, and it's like, you know, as great as his art is, like the shit that he did was fucked up, but it's like it all depends on the person. If the person's like, well, I mean, like you know, hundreds or thousands of kids got like the ability to go to school and like all that, and so they can be like, oh, like, you know, he's a shitty person, but he's also kind of good person. But some people might just see it as like, no, he's a fucking piece of shit. Just like, that's it, kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, like if when I do personally, like I do kind of group them together, like his image is tainted now.
Yeah.
So even if I watch a stand up like Louis C.K., not Bill Cosby. Well, Bill Cosby
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
but Louis C.K. is more relevant right now. I do group them together just because it's like the person, like watching the person knowing that they're a great person and this is all just like comedy or whatever.
Yeah.
So when I watch Louis C.K.'s bits about masturbating or whatever, I'm like, oh wait, you actually did like fucking like
Yeah.
sexually harass those girls. Like, it's not like a joke anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a problem. But like if Louis C.K. never did any of that and all his jokes were about masturbation, this and that, I would giggle because I'm like, oh, this guy's just a jokester. You know?
But like, so let's say that right now, if you watched a Louis special
Mhm.
from beginning to end, do you think you would laugh?
Would I laugh? Yes, 100%, because he's a comedian. He's a great.
Would you ever feel guilty about
Yes,
laughing?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, because of what, like, because I know the material that he's talking about is real life stuff that happened, and in that real life, like in those real life scenarios, people were hurt.
It's inappropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people were hurt, you know, and like to laugh at someone else's misfortune. I mean, if someone's like getting kicked in the balls by like a horse or something, it's like a quick YouTube video. Like I ain't like, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on what you're
Yeah.
talking about specifically, right?
yeah, like, but if it's what's going on now with like, you know, women getting sexually abused and stuff, then it's
And what's your opinion, Simran?
yeah.
Well, like I've already, so like Mel Gibson
Yeah.
went on that racial tirade,
Mm-hmm.
and I already watched his new movie. What's his new movie? The one with the
Daddy.
in the war.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Fucking
right?
amazing movie.
It's a really great movie.
He's a great director.
He's a great director.
He directs fucking movies amazing.
Piece of shit person.
Yeah.
Horrible fucking person.
But great director.
Great director.
But then the
Yeah.
question becomes, yeah, like, does he
So,
deserve
like, for me-
to have, right?
Well, like,
Does he deserve to be able to make movies?
Exactly.
Sure.
yeah.
Right.
I think he deserves.
But
to
It's just like, but like I watched it and I liked it and I enjoyed it.
No, I think
but
he
it's
does.
also,
I
like,
think he does deserve it. Like just because if we were to silence people because they have opinions, don't,
not
no, it's his opinion. His opinions he doesn't like. He's anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't think he's going around. I don't know this. Like, it's so well. I don't know if he was like actually going out like beating up or like telling individuals that they should like whatever like burn or die or something. He's just like, I don't like Jews.
I think he's putting that message out there though, right? Like.
Well, okay, so but in the context of America and the freedom of speech, it's okay.
Yeah,
right? It's not like okay morally, but
Yeah.
in terms of okay to the law of like believing in free speech.
Yeah. 'Cause
Then
if you start-
then yes, right?
if
So
you start
so in that context, that specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to other issues, I would say there are lines where you would have to say no, right? Like when, like Harvey Weinstein, right? Like, should he be allowed to do all the stuff that, you know, like business-wise, should he be allowed to like move through the business world and do what he was doing before? given that he was sexually harassing and
But-
blah blah blah, right?
So Harvey Weinstein was abusing his power. Mel Gibson was voicing an opinion. Like it's.
No, I'm saying that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. It's different, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree that Mel Gibson should be able to make movies.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
If all he was doing is voicing his opinions, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with that freedom of speech thing.
Mhm.
I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
That thing that Americans do.
Yeah.
But
and yeah, I think that is.
But you agree with the other thing, right? Is that like when people go past the line of certain things, so in this case, sexual harassment or whatever, should they still be allowed to whatever make movies or?
I think Harvey Weinstein should not be able to be in a position of power just because he's harmed other people. Like he should go to jail is what he should do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, like I don't like if he wants to start up his own company to make a web series. I don't see why you should silence him for like not be in a position of power kind of thing. But like just, I mean, it's iffy. Like I personally wouldn't want him doing anything. But I mean, like, do you know what I mean? Like silencing people.
Well, no, yeah, I'm not talking about silencing. I'm just saying, should they be allowed to like? Should he be allowed to like make movies or whatever? Like,
No, obviously not. Because
Okay, yeah.
he's abused. Like,
Right, yeah, of
he should be in
course.
jail. Yeah. But
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, like any other thing, like Harvey Weinstein's like a fucking like a hyper example. But like like people
So-
like Mel Gibson that like say some fucked up shit or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think they should ever be like even Logan Paul, like the Logan Paul issue with the Suicide Forest stuff. I don't think that YouTube or anyone should take away his channel. Like. No, but that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
he made one mistake, and you're gonna take away his job and everything just because he fucked up once. He's
Sure,
trying
but-
to,
But once doesn't mean just because it's once doesn't mean that there isn't a significant amount of damage that could be done, right? Like it's like the Nazis killed one whatever
One
like they
group
did,
of 6 million Jews.
yeah,
No,
do you know what I
one
mean? Like you
group.
could argue once.
No,
of
no, no.
anything,
Another
right?
group.
Like no, I'm not saying that like he shouldn't be like reprimanded for what he did, but you can take away the monetization on his videos forever. But I'm saying is like people will like literally take away his channel, and I'm like, why? What does it matter if he has people that like want to watch his stuff? Let him make stuff. He doesn't have to make money on it. If he wants to like make videos and people want to watch his stuff, why would you?
It's because that he has such an influential role now that he is influencing like thousands and thousands of people, so that if he does make another video that's like this, it will inevitably impact them, and he already has more subscribers and whatever, like we were saying, right? So that'll just do more damage.
Like
now.
on the podcast with you last time when we were talking about this, I completely agree. He's a shitty person, and
Yeah.
I don't like his vlogs or anything. But it's like to say that.
But
he's
doing
super-
so, taking those actions that YouTube took and other people took, are saying this is a way of saying that this isn't okay. Doing those things isn't okay.
isn't okay, and it isn't. But like to.
But
be
if
like-
you don't do anything and you allow him to continue making stuff, then we're kind of letting him be like, well, it's okay, whatever.
well, that's
Alright.
what I said. So like, take away his monetization, take away his like whatever. But like, don't go like. To be like, oh, he did it once, so he's 100% gonna do it again, and the next time
Whether he's monetized or not, the kids don't care if the content's out there. If he posts a video, whether he's getting monetized or not, they're gonna see it, and that's where the issue is, right?
Well-
and that's where it's like, okay, now it's not okay for you to make videos like this.
yeah. So
Because it's already past the point of he's not an average YouTuber. He's a full-on. He's like a TV now. He's like a TV channel that has thousands and thousands of viewers. So it's past that point now. It's not just
Okay, but-
I'm just voicing my whatever. This is
but-
like he inevitably has a huge impact on people.
If you take away his monetization, though, you take away his clickbait, you take away his reason to do stupid stuff like that, like run around Japan and throw Pokeballs at people and stuff like that. It's like the reason he's doing it is for money. Like the reason he's doing half the shit that he does is so he has stuff that's clickbaity, like I just jumped into a volcano, and like stupid, like the titles that I mean, like
Just
if-
jumped into a hole.
like no, like I don't know, I'm just made up a title, but it's like stupid shit like that. You
Yeah.
read like I just spent $10 million on like 50,000 pizzas.
Yeah.
It's obviously for money, but if you take away his monetization, he's not making stupid videos like that. But the fans that still want to watch shit.
But
can
do you
watch
think Logan Paul is going to change? If you take away his monetization, do you think he's going to change his
100%,
videos that he makes?
I 100% they
See, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think because I think his bread and butter is being that guy. I think Logan Paul is that guy, which is why you guys say like, oh, he made a mistake. I don't think he made a mistake. I think he went into forest looking for
He did.
a body
He
hanging
did.
to
He did.
put on his video.
Well, no, he made a
That's not
mistake. He made a mistake in the context of what we think. It's like you fucked up.
Okay, yeah.
But he doesn't think he
Yeah.
like whatever. But
Until
like,
now.
because
It was
because of
deliberate,
the
yeah.
because
But
of of course.
Yeah,
But,
so-
but you got to remember, he's 21. He's 22. He's a kid. He's a kid. He's a kid that fucked up. Like that's what I mean. Like, what are we just supposed to fucking go to him? I think that he fucked up. I think that he's a fucking idiot. But I don't think that you should like. He's a fucking kid. At the end of the day, he's 21 or 22, I think now. But he's young. Like, and people fuck up. And if every mistake that you ever made, if you were like, if there was 15 million people,
I'm not
you can't-
influencing.
You can't
people.
blanket all mistakes as just mistakes, though, right? Certain ones, like sometimes you slip and fall, sometimes you crash your car and you kill a family of 5. Like, they're different levels of like mistakes, right?
One is like
So-
you
And if
should be able to walk again, and the other one is like you shouldn't be able to drive again if you like killed 5 people driving your car. Like,
Anyway, but you get what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, the gravity of this for a lot of people is like, this is a huge thing that happened, right? And like I said, for me too, and again, in the context beyond just that video, I already know Logan Paul's kind of stupid. Like, he's kind of dumb.
I agree. I totally.
Right? So, I mean, like, for him to be able to make stuff that, like, it's pretty... You can't, like, not that anybody's arguing this, but it's pretty, like, confirmed. Like, you already know that, like, whatever he's going to make, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to watch. And I just don't think that it's responsible for anyone that has, like, YouTube or whatever to be like, it's okay for you to make stuff still. It's cool. Thousands of people are going to watch your shit, but yeah, it's cool, man. You could make a stupid video again, but it's okay. We totally support you making videos, because for them to let him make videos in a way that's still them supporting him.
Well, that's the thing. So YouTube today or yesterday took him off YouTube had cut him off pretty much completely, other than like the slight monetization that you can make, like the regular like YouTubers that have like 10,000 subscribers or whatever make. But he's like taking off all the programs. But no, I agree with both you guys on everything except that last part, that it's like, oh, if his mistake, like, he's made a vlog, one every day.
Well, I mean, it just
500 days.
Is it just that you don't think his mistake is as like heavy as we do?
No, I think I've had suicide in my family. I know how bad his mistake was, but at the same time, I also think that, like, fucking just like, after thinking about it for weeks, 'cause we had a podcast on it, and you could hear my podcast on it, and I think a little bit differently now. He fucked up, like, so bad. Like, he fucked up really bad. But at the end of the day, there was no, like, I don't know, man. Like, he did something really dumb, but to be, like, fucking just crucified for it.
But that's the thing, is he's not crucified. He's still alive. He can still do things. Like, he can still get a job and whatever. I just don't think he should hold the power of being able to talk to thousands and thousands of kids or make videos for thousands and thousands of kids. I just don't think he should be able to do that. I don't think he should go to jail. I don't think we should, whatever, like, anything that drastic in terms of that. But he can still get a job and make a living, or whatever. Like, maybe not, because people won't want him to work at their place. But I still think he's still, like, not, you know what I mean? Like, I think this is an appropriate, whatever, like, penalization or, like, punishment for what happened. And, like, and also I just don't think he should be putting out videos anyway. Like, just in general, just my opinion, watching him and, like, the way he does things and whatever, I wouldn't want my kid watching his stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't. Like,
I actually sat down and watched like 4 or 5 of his other videos, like full, like, the 15-minute vlogs from, like, previous days, like day 300, day 200. And as much as I dislike his videos, and I think he's like a little, like, Dumbo, his videos aren't bad. Like, he's like
then just the next day they posted that Japanese one where he's
no. That's what I mean. Like, that Japan, that whole Japan trip is really bad. But, like, I just watched 5 random videos from different, like, days, and he's like, a majority of the time.
But it's like now, like, knowing, it's kind of like the Louis C.K. thing though. It's like now knowing even further, because obviously, like, those ones, the ones you watched before, are like contained. They're kind of like, oh yeah, they're just kind of funny videos.
Skydiving.
Or those ones are fine or whatever. But knowing the kind of person he is, like, again, as a whole, like you were saying with Louis C.K., as a whole, him as a person, that part is now included, the Suicide Forest thing and the Japan video and whatever else. That him as a whole now is just like, it's not. I don't want my kids watching his stuff. Like, he's not someone that I want them to follow or respect or whatever. You know what I mean? Despite some of, you know, like, I'm sure not 100% of what, like, Louis C.K., like I'm sure a lot of his stuff was just jokes and stuff. But the fact that he did do certain things is now like, well, all of it now is just as a person, this is something that you did. Because you are just one person. You're all of the things that you've done. Right? That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like everybody kind of fucked up. Like, Logan Paul fucked up by making the video. YouTube really fucked up by not
taking 11 days to fucking talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that and, like, letting the video go up. Like, are you telling me there's not a dude that's looking at the video that's like?
So that, I know you didn't listen to our podcast last week, but there was YouTube has a trusted flagger program, which is someone like you and me can become a trusted flagger,
Yeah.
so that we can flag content that could be inappropriate. According to Trusted Flagger Ben on Twitter, the video was flagged, obviously.
Yeah.
And then it was unflagged by YouTube.
And then YouTube manually, this is according to him, manually went through the video and was like, "That's cool, we'll put it up."
But that's what I mean.
That's what you're saying.
Fuck up is. It's like they looked at Logan Paul, somebody who brings in a ridiculous amount of money for YouTube, and they're like, let's let it go. And so they fucked up there. Then they took this long to do this, and they only did this because of all the reaction from the video in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like really. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that they did it, just because if he didn't have any big kind of thing hit him, it's just like the Hollywood thing. I think it would go on for a little bit, it would fade away, but the next video he posted would get more views than any of his other videos, because people want to see what this idiot does next. Not only the people who like him, but the people that don't like him want to see if he does the same kind of shit. So if anything, he starts making more. Like no publicity, no publicity is bad publicity or whatever. I think that would have been like he got really fucked up by the media and everybody else. All these other people started making videos about him as well.
Well, I mean, in the end, it's really that. Yeah, you agree that this was something that it's like he needs to be made an example.
Yeah, like
in a way,
something
right?
needs to happen where like he doesn't benefit off this. Because if he didn't get his monetization cut and like he didn't get his like ties to YouTube cut, I think it just like his channel would have been almost better off for it, which is horrible. Do you know what I mean? Like, if YouTube didn't cut off, like,
well, we'll never
ties
know.
kinda-
We'll
yeah.
never know. But you agree with.
Yeah, I agree with what they did. I think it's a bit late. They should have done. They should have been like, "We're sorry, we didn't."
Well, what we said.
unflag it, but you know what? We're done with this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I
they
mean,
should've
what
done
I
it
said.
day one.
What I said last week is that it does reflect a lot on YouTube, because it's like they said he whatever violated our policies, but it's the only reason they're saying that now is because of the backlash.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, if they reviewed it manually and they said no, then
No, this violates our policies right now. We're not going to let it.
that's
out.
what it should have been, right? But I mean, it is interesting. Like Brad and I were talking about, like some Black Mirror type stuff, where it's like, what if this was all planned by both of them? But then now that they cut him off, it kind of doesn't seem like that at all. But yeah.
No, but I totally do agree that there need someone to be like Logan Paul needed to be made an example of by YouTube to show that like they should have done it right away instead of waiting 11 days. But at the same time, once all his ties are cut and once all the monetization is taken down, or once all that's done, like just I don't know. I'm like he's a kid and he fucked up, but like he's not making any money off it. Like like it's that like to just think that like he's gonna do it again is.
It's not that he's going to do it again. It's that like they just want to show that they don't condone it. Almost, right? Like
they don't support him. They don't support what he did.
If they let it go through,
No, not him. I'm talking about us. Us saying like you guys saying like how like he shouldn't be making videos anymore and stuff like that.
I'm not saying he shouldn't be making videos anymore. I'm just saying he shouldn't be.
Well, the only reason
Like he shouldn't have gotten away with what he did, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And if YouTube didn't do what they did, I feel like he would have gotten away with what he did.
But it was because of those meddling kids.
Ruby dooby doo.
I know, but no, I totally agree. Like he
Right,
would have gone away with it, and he did it, and I'm glad.
In terms of him making videos, like, I think honestly, I've never watched one of his videos. I haven't even watched his suicide one, because, like, from what I've heard, he sounds like a shithead. I'm not going to give him a view and give him any money. I'm talking about him right now, but, like, I'm not going to directly go to his channel and fund him.
Well, no, you can't because there's no monetization.
I'm still not going to go there and watch it, because I don't think I'd enjoy it. But, like, the only way I know it is, like, there was that thing on the Facebook that you guys sent me of his Japan trip, like skipping through and like some guy I guess cut bits and parts of it. That's not giving him money. That's watching somebody else cut his shit and do that. But like, I wouldn't like. I hope this kind of
respect the Japanese culture. That video is fucked up.
Fucking stupid.
No, but I do agree. Sorry, my point, the overall point that I was trying to make is, as long, like I don't know, like
I know what
Mel
you mean.
Gibson, Logan Paul, like everyone in this particular like the Harvey Weinstein can go rotten hell. Like that guy, that's like too fucked.
Yeah.
Like like that's like he should never be able in a position of power. He should go like. you know, I don't even want to know what he does, but he should not be anywhere in Hollywood or anything like that. But like Mel Gibson, who was like, you know, he hates Jewish people, and Logan Paul, which filmed the, you know, the fucked up video, but he's like I feel like completely banning them from making further movies or. Like,
well, Logan
vlogs.
Paul still has his Twitter account. He still has his Instagram account. He still has all these other accounts that he can use to get.
Actually, I know what you're saying, because if you're gonna compare what I was saying with it's like a freedom of speech thing. I get what you're saying, I guess, because in that world or this world, but anyway, in that sense, you could say that I'm being hypocritical in a way because I'm not letting him, whatever, put out videos because that's a freedom of speech thing. I guess it's just that I personally know that whether he was out there or whatever, like I wouldn't support his stuff, like I wouldn't whatever. And I think that's what you're saying is that like, well, just tell your kids not to watch his stuff.
Just because like you don't want to watch stuff, which is I totally agree with. I would
but
let my kids watch.
It also comes down to like
15 million people that watch him. Like the people that want to watch him. Like, you know, like I just like let him fucking make videos for the people that want.
But if you get like this is extreme, but if you get 15 million Logan Pauls out of it. Is that what you want? But like, what if, that's what they turn into?
So that comes down to YouTube's decision, right?
Yeah.
So that comes down to what YouTube wants and what YouTube wants to be like, right? And that's related to like the monetization thing and whatever that YouTube's doing too. What does YouTube stand for, and what do they care about, right? So obviously here we notice that they care a lot about what people think about them.
Yeah.
So and that's what they chose to do, is take action because of the backlash, right? But what do they actually do, right? And this is what we talked about last week, is that YouTube seems to value very sensationalism type, like, you know, just weird stuff that comes that like will get random views, like lots of views, like that couple that we're going back in the podcast of last week, but whatever, Sim's here, that couple that shot, like the girl shot the husband or whatever through the whatever dictionary or whatever, the book, and that was like, it's because you know that YouTube tends to favor that type, whatever the system is or the algorithm or whatever, for whatever reason, those types of films or videos or whatever tend to be like the popular ones that float to the top, and that's kind of like a sign of what YouTube values for their system of video creation and whatever. But yeah.
To wrap this all up, Simran, final few words.
Logan Paul, bad. Mel Gibson, okay.
Lucy Gay, bad.
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein, worst.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman,
Japanese people best.
That's racist.
Yeah.
Being racist.
Don't do that, Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, you know, within our lifetimes, the system does change, like to better, for, like, you know, equality for both.
Well, I think it's good to talk about these issues.
Yeah.
Like, it's good to have these in your
Discussions.
mind, like this. Yeah, like to think about these things. Because I mean, I don't know. Would you want your kids watching Logan Paul's videos? No. Right? Or
that's a whole nother part of that argument too. It's like, how do you stop kids? Like, if your kids find a way on the internet and they do whatever they want on the internet, how do you know? You can monitor your kids, but like, how much do you want to monitor your kids? How much?
This is on a completely different point.
There's a whole Black Mirror episode that came out this season about that. Like, how much do you want to be involved in your children's lives? How much can you actually control, and like how much should you control? And
I watched Louis C.K.'s fucking all his comedy specials and go see him live and listen to talk about masturbation.
Yeah.
I'm not locking myself in a room like jerking off, like, you know, like just
not that we know of.
Yeah, it's true. But just because like you watch someone's stuff doesn't mean like it's just you know, some people, you just get enjoyment out of it.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, yeah, it's just about. It's really about not hurting other people, and. Not hurting yourself,
yes,
and making sure you communicate effectively with the people around you about how you want to be portrayed and how they want to be portrayed to you. Like, making sure you understand. Like, it's just about talking.
It's just about being the best you that you can be.
Yeah. It's just about doing unto others as you would unto others unto do unto you.
Just shows to go you.
Just shows to go you. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Till next time.
It's just about free speech.